What's up, guys? It's Jim with OPTCG, bringing you guys another weekly locals video. This week, you guys ended up voting for Zoro and Sanji, the starter deck ST12, which honestly nobody has been playing, so I was kind of in for one when I was given this leader. Luckily, I had already made a video on them, so I kind of based my list and practiced with that list and made a couple changes. And I ended up on a list that I really enjoy and I actually think is really strong. It does falter against the best decks in the game, i.e. black decks, just because they can remove 2-cost cards so easily. You'll see what I did with this deck. It is pretty much a 2-cost swarm deck. That is the way I found is the best way to play this leader, and it is probably the most fun I've had on a leader in a little while now. I wasn't super excited for the new leaders in OP06, but this one is actually very fun, and I actually did really good this week. Went 2-0 and then got to finals, and I'll show you how that game went, but anyway, enough of me yapping, let's get into the deck list. First up here, I'm just going to show you guys the absolute staples in this deck. To be honest, the deck completely revolves around these cards, and if you don't draw them, winning is going to be pretty difficult. So, first up here is going to be 3-cost Ivankov. So, in a 2-drop deck, this is a must-have. We have majority 2-drops. I think we have, out of our 50 cards, 35 of them are 2-drops. So this guy is going to basically play one off the top of your deck for free. And then after that, he can draw every turn when he attacks. He's your best combo piece in your deck. If you don't see him, it's going to be pretty rough because you'll be running low on cards in hand. And you really won't get enough cards on board either. Next up, the best 2-drop and the 1-2-drop you really want to find at all costs, as he is really your only amazing attacker in this deck. And that is going to be 2-cost Sanji. So 2-cost Sanji is another one from ST12, and he's basically a 2-3 that is going to swing big. When you attach a Dawn and he attacks, when you have 5 or less cards in hand, he's going to get plus 2k power. So with 1 Dawn attached, he'll be a 3k body, but he'll be swinging 6. So the good thing about this is not a once per turn when attacking effect. So if you restand him with leader and you swing again, that 6 now turns into 8 because he buffs himself for another 2k. And this 2k is until the end of your opponent's next turn, so pretty much he buffs himself by 2k twice, which means on your opponent's turn he's a 7k, which means if they don't have removal, he's not easy to get rid of. So you can actually repeat next turn, and a really strong best card to attack with in the deck by far. Next up, it is, I'd say, the last absolute staple in this deck that you really need to find. It's going to be 2-cost Usopp. So Usopp here is Perona. If you guys know Perona and Doflamingo, you look at top 5 or rearrange them in the order you like. This card does exactly that, but he's on a 2-3 body. So 3k body you can attack with, or if you just want to have a target to bring back to hand with leader effect, that is also great. But basically, organizing the top 5 is going to set up so many plays in this deck. You'll see with the other cards I run, but we already have one on board right here. It's going to be the Ivankov. If you go second, you play Usopp, and next turn you play Ivankov. Activate leader effect, you can bounce Usopp to hand, restand something. Really strong stuff. He's your best card to organize the top of your deck, and there's games where I just keep bouncing him back to hand and replaying his effect, and it really allows for some insane turns with this deck for sure. Next up here, we've got Duval, another ST12 card. This one is basically a top 3 rearranger as opposed to Usopp's top 5, but Duval is a blocker. So this deck kind of needs blockers as our bodies are really small. So if our opponent does not have a lot of swings, we can save our Ivankov bodies if they go too large with swings that we would not have been able to counter out of otherwise. But mostly running this guy because he can rearrange the top 3 and he's a 2-cost. So just a perfect card for the deck. Definitely a 4-of staple. Next up here, we've got 2-cost Trafalgar Law. So this card is amazing. If you guys don't know what this card does, it was supposed to be for the film archetype, but it works amazing in this deck. Basically, it's a 2-cost, as you can see, and its ability is going to be activate main. You can tap 1 Dawn, you can bounce him back to your hand, and then you could play a 3-cost card from hand. So, Ivankov, perfect target. If we already set up the top 5 with Usopp, we can play on 4 Dawn an Ivankov. We bring out Law, we have 1 left to work with, and say we have another Ivankov in hand, you can bounce Law, play another Ivankov, and you get another unit. So, insane card, but he would not be insane if Ivankov was the only 3-cost I was running. So let's get into the other 3 costs I'm running in this deck to play off Law. We've got 3 of Don Quixote Doflamingo blocker, another top 5 rearranger, and another blocker. A perfect card in this deck. Perfect card to play off Law. Honestly, not much to be said there. Also, one of our best attackers, as most of our bodies, as we run a lot of 2-costs, are pretty low statted. So having a 4K is actually pretty important in this deck. And then the last of our 3 costs is going to be 3 of Hina from OPO5. So I'm sure a lot of you don't know what this card does either. This is just a 3/4 that was introduced in OPO5, and it's going to be on play. If you have 5 or less cards in hand, you can draw 1 card. So we'll run low on cards in hand in this deck, as everything is low costed. So we're playing stuff out of hand really quickly, and we're losing out on hand size. So Hina really helps with that. If we don't have Doflamingo or Ivankov as a target for Law, we can always play Hina, or we can just play her raw later in the game, which is also really strong. And next up here, let's go into our second best attacker in the deck after Sanji. We have 3 of Rouge. So a Rouge, another card that I'm sure a lot of you don't know what does. A Rouge is from the second starter deck, the Eustace Captain Kidd starter deck. And pretty much he's just going to read Don X1 if you have 3 or more characters, which includes himself, so you only need 2 other characters on board. He's going to gain 2,000 power. So this is also on your opponent's turn, as it just states Don X1, you get that effect. And basically, 1 Don, same as Sanji, he's swinging 6. His effect does not stack like Sanji's does when he attacks twice, but it does make him a pretty sizable body, which we really appreciate and really need. If I'm playing Ivankov and I don't see Sanji on the top, but I see Rouge, I am definitely playing Rouge. Next up here, we've got another 3 of Don Quixote Rocinante. So this is a fantastic card against black decks that want to remove our stuff. If we have a rested Sanji on board, that would have been a free kill, and we have a Rocinante, it makes it really awkward for them because they can't just KO Sanji, because I'm just going to give them Rocinante. So really good blocker and tech card to save our boards when they're going to be removed by anything. Next up here, we have a really good 2-drop, is going to be Sugar. So Sugar is really, really good in this deck. It's allowed me to go for games when I otherwise shouldn't have been able to. If you don't know, Sugar's on play effect always works. Sugar always is going to be 2 costs, and then you can rest the 4 cost. But the opponent's turn, once per turn, when they play a card and you rest stuff, that effect just doesn't work. That only works on Don Quixote pirate leaders. So pretty much we are just playing this for the fact that it can rest the 4 on play. It's just a pretty good tech in a lot of scenarios where they have blockers and we can't go for game. Sugar is going to allow us to do that, and then we can actually bounce it back to hand if we wanted to play it later. So really, really solid card. Next up here, let's get into our 2Ks. So first up, we've got 2K Alvida from OPO1. This is pretty much in the entirety of blue and green the only good 2K attacker. So if I play an Ivankov and I only see Alvida on top, it's going to be not too bad because it's a 3K body, so 2 Dawn I could swing with it. And then also it's going to be able to send back a 3 cost to hand. So that's really good to get rid of blockers in a lot of scenarios, or even stuff like Hina that is, you just want to get off board. And then you can bounce it back to hand whenever you need to after the fact, and you already use it to attack, and now you can use it for a 2K. So really, really great 2K in the deck. Next up here, we've got Charlotte Pudding. This one you're never attacking with, but it is pretty great. Again, another card that if we get off of an Ivankov, we can just bounce it back to hand, and now we have a 2K in hand. So basically converted Ivankov's effect into a draw 1 2K. And then last up here, We have 2 of Tony Chopper. Tony Chopper is just kind of to round out the 2Ks. He's another 2-cost 2K that we want in this deck. His effect is okay. When attacking Dawn X1, you can rest one of your opponent's 2 or less cards. That comes in handy sometimes. I think I actually used it today in one of my games, so not too bad, but usually just something that we're bouncing back to hand with leader effect if it ever gets on board. Next up here, we've got 3 of But I Will Never Doubt a Woman's Tears, another card that I'm sure some of you just don't know what does, so let's read it. Up to 1 of your leader or characters gains 1,000 power for the turn, so for 1 Dawn during the main phase, you are instantly returning its effect, because it's 1 for a 1K, and then you can reveal 1 card from the top of your deck, play up to 1 character card with a cost of 2, and place the rest at the bottom of your deck. Top or bottom of your deck. So if you do whiff with this card, you can leave it at the top. But pretty much 1 Dawn to play a 2-cost while buffing something really, really strong. So if you already have the Ivankov on board, you can buff him to 5, so he instantly turns into a swinger. And then you can play a 2-cost on board that you can either use with your leader effect or whatever else. Really, really strong in certain scenarios. If you're going first, sometimes I will just play this card on 1, get out of 2. There's been games where I just instantly get out of Sanji and then I just start putting on the pressure. So really, really strong card that allows for, again, insane amounts of combo potential. That's mainly what this deck does, is you just combo. You'll see the combos I do today. They're insanely fun and really strong against certain decks. And last but not least, the 1 of Spice that I added, honestly, last second. 1 of Usopp, Rush. So Rush Usopp from OP03. This card obviously made for Nami, but it is the only Rush card that we really want to run in blue and green. There's a lot of scenarios where your board gets removed and you really just don't have the power to end games, when if you had 1 more body on board that could attack, you could win the game easily. There's been tons of scenarios I've been in like that. This guy is going to be for that, right? Say your opponent removes your board. Say you only ended up with like a sugar left on the board. They have 2 life left, and they only have like 2 cards in hand. Usopp's going to allow you to go for game. You can play him, swing 7, swing X amount with leader effect, bounce sugar, restand Usopp, and then swing with him again and take all 3 life in that final turn. So just a guy that's going to allow you to get surprise lethals for the most part. That is the only reason I run him. Obviously, we have no synergy with the 4-cost stat line. Just for the fact that he has Rush. That is really the only reason we run him. Did not come up today, I will let you know now, unfortunately, but he has come up before in my testing, and he's honestly pretty solid at a 1 of. And that is going to be the deck list, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening to my long-winded explanation. I'm just really, honestly passionate about this deck. I have a lot of fun with this deck. The 2-drop combo synergy is just really fun to play, I'm not going to lie. And I think it's the best way to play this deck. Some people like running things that are a little bit bigger, like the 4-cost Zoro and stuff like that, maybe like a supernova list, but in my experience, that list is going to lose to black anyway, as you always need 2 bodies on board for leader effect, which, you know, Moria and Sokka just aren't going to let you do. So you might as well play this version, who's honestly better into every other deck than that version. So really enjoy this deck. Did really good this week. Let's get right into the games. And getting into game 1 here, we're going to be playing against Yellow Katakuri in our first game. So unfortunately, we go right into a meta deck, which honestly is not too bad. In my experience, Yellow is not that terrible of a matchup for Zoro Sanji, as you go pretty wide, and their only removal really is Gadatsu. So not too bad, and we also got second. So really great for us. We're going to get the Usopp on turn 1, which is always our best play to play on turn 1, setting up our plays for future turns. Going to look at top 5 here. I think I only saw 2 Ks on the top here and nothing to play off of my Ivankov in hand. So I think we're setting up an Albedo for next turn. I could be wrong. He's going to go 5 at lead. We'll give him a 1K as we know the Peros coming. So just going to conserve life while we can here. We'll play 1 for the Woman's Tears, actually, and we'll get out an Alvida onto board and buff our leader to 6. So swing 6 at lead. No, he hasn't looked at life yet, so he's going to have to give us a 2K, and then we'll play that Ivankov, getting out another Chopper. So yeah, We only saw 2k 2 costs on the top, unfortunately, which isn't too bad because we can actually bounce them both back to hand and basically convert them into 2 draw 1s. Going to play the Charlotte Pudding on 5 Don for our Katakuri player. Very fortunate he did not have the Gadatsu here, as if he popped our Ivankov, we were probably in a pretty rough spot. So he's going to swing 7 lead, put that one to the bottom. We will choose to take. We'll go another 5k at lead. We'll give him a 1k counter sugar, and then he'll play another Pero Sparrow, passing back to us on 6 Dawn. So at this point, we can definitely start to go a little crazy. Let's see what we actually decide to do. We're going to play 3 Dawn for the Don Quixote del Flamingo, setting up our top 5 once again. Not sure if we have anything like an Ivankov to play right now. Getting out more 2 costs. I think our board's a bit too full to do that at the moment. So we don't really have anything crazy in hand, so probably just going to start swinging at board. We'll put 1 on Shopper, swinging 3 to Leader, and just activate his effect. He obviously does not need to block out of that one, but we just want to rest that Pudding and get rid of it so we can't swing into board very easily. Yeah, he's just asking that you're only swinging 3, and I'm like, yeah. Then we'll go 3 to 2 with the Alvida. He will take. We'll go 5 to Pero Sparrow and draw 1 off of Ivankov. He'll give us that. Looking at the top 3, looks like he found a 10 cost Big Mom, which is honestly not too bad for us. We'll go 6 lead, bouncing Chopper to hand, and a restanding Ivankov, and he's going to get a Sanji trigger off of his first life, so not amazing as he now has another attacker into our board. And then we're actually going to choose not to swing with Ivankov, as if we did, he would clear it and we'd probably be screwed, so he's going to swing 5, we will take, and then he'll go 7 for a Big Mom. We'll actually choose to trash that, as if we give him too much life, we're probably just screwed. So, going to pass back to us now on 8 Dawn. We need to start going a bit aggressive here before we start losing. We're going to go the Woman's Tears, buffing the Ivankov to 5, and pulling out a Sanji, which is really important for this matchup. Now with 7 Dawn remaining, we have probably a lot of plays we can do, so we're going to just think about it for a sec here. A lot of combo potential. If you wanted to play another, it looks like we don't have an Ivankov, so don't have to worry about clearing out our board. We'll go 2 here, go 7k to his Pero Sparrow, and draw 1. He'll actually just take that and look at top 3, grabbing a Pudding. And then we'll go 7k at Leader once again, bouncing the Usopp and restanding Ivankov. Looks like he's going to, off the top, get an Onami trigger and pop that Ivankov before it can swing again. So that is a pretty rough trigger for us, not going to lie. We're just going to play the Hina, and with 5 cards in hand, draw 1. So now we have 3 decent attackers on board and a blocker as well if he went too crazy for game. Going to swing 8 at lead with Lin Lin, just check what we do. We're going to take. We'll go another 7, looking at top and putting it to bottom. We'll give him a 2k and a 1k, and he'll play that Pudding that he got from the Pero Sparrow. Probably looking for something to play here. But unfortunately, I think he only finds a 2k counter. I'm going to look at his current hand right now. I don't think he really has much to play. And he will just choose to probably grab that 2k Strusen, which he indeed does. And with the remaining Dawn, I don't really think he has much to play, so he's just going to choose to slap all of that on Sanji here. Yeah, going to put it all on Sanji and go Leader. We will definitely be taking that, as we kind of need our whole board here right now. Now on 10 Dawn, though, with a lot of cards in hand, we actually need to get cards out of our hand if we want this Sanji to start being buffed. So we're going to play the Duval for 2. Look at the top 3 and set it right back there. Now we have 6 cards in hand, so still need to play 1 more out of hand to actually have this Sanji effect start working for us. And it doesn't look like there's a lot of great cards to play. We could play another 3 cost, so we're going to go ahead and go 5 at 5. Just trying to get counter out of hand. He's going to do the smart play and just instantly give it to us, as he knows we have a lot of repeat swings coming in. So going to tap 3? No, we actually are not going to tap 3. We're going to tap 3 to play the Don Quixote, Doflamingo, looking at the top 5 once again. See if we have a better target than when we just looked at the top 3. Looks like we'll set that back right away. And now with 5 cards in hand, we can start swinging with Sanji. So we're going to put 1 on Sanji. And actually, no, definitely thinking about this turn a lot. 2 on Sanji, we will swing 7k to leader as he buffs himself by 2 when we have 5 cards in hand. He's going to get a Okiku trigger. So another card on board that's going to make it easier to go for game or easier to clear for board, whatever he chooses to do. So we're going to use leader effect to bounce our Hina to hand, just getting more counter, and then we'll go another 7k to lead. Actually, no, we will not. Yeah, we don't want to put him at 1 because with 3 blockers on board, if we do give him a Maru range, we 100% lose. So we were not swinging with that Sanji. We know we're going for game next turn. He's actually going to use leader effect, swing 7, and we'll give him a 2 and a 1. Go another 7 with that Okiku he got off life. So we'll give him another 2 and a 1. And now with 8 of his Dawn left, he definitely has some scary swings coming. He'll go 9. We'll just give him the Duval, as we obviously can't counter out of that with 2 cards in hand. And it looks like he has a 7 Mom in hand, which really isn't doing much at this point, as I can choose to just trash a life. So he's going to go 5 on putting, swing another 7. Thinking about what to do here, as if I block with the Doflamingo, I have 1 less attacker to use next turn. So I think it is smart just to give him the 2k and 1k out of hand, as I know I'm pretty much going for game next turn regardless. If I don't win next turn, I lose the game. So yeah, we're going to actually give him the counter out of hand. And with 10 Dawn, we do have to go for game here. We obviously have to get through 2 a little bit scary life, so we'll go 7 off rip, and he's going to get an Okiku trigger, which I think he honestly shouldn't have played. He should have at least, it's not a counter, but I think he should have bluffed that you had counter in hand at least. So we'll go 5, he'll give us a 2k, showing that the only counter he has right now are 2ks in hand. 2 on lead, swing 7, we'll bounce that Doflamingo and restand the Sanji. So with 7 at lead, this is not an easy one to counter out of. Gonna give us another double 2k, and we'll swing again with Sanji. That's actually a 9k swing as he buffs himself again. We'll put the rest on Doflamingo, swing 10. That is going to be the game. And getting into our game 2 here, we're going to be going against a purple Kaido. So not a deck you see a whole lot, but definitely a deck that can be menacing if they see the right curve. So we're going to go ahead and play Law on 2, probably trying to play a 3-cost next turn, and he's going to get the perfect start with Onigashima, ramping himself to 4. And now on us on 4 Dawn. We will probably just use that Law effect to play out an Ivankov. Even though we have not looked at the top of our deck, the odds are it's always a 2-cost. So we'll just use Law effect to play out the Ivankov, and it looks like it's going to be an Rouge, so really good for us. We'll swing 5 at lead. Going to play 3 for another Ivankov, and we actually see an Ivankov on the top, which is pretty funny because we're definitely going to keep that there and play that one next turn. Don't get to play a 2-drop on board, but honestly not that big of a deal. So opponent now on 6 Dawn, he'll ramp 1 with Onigashima and swing 5. We will give him that Law that we just bounced back to hand. And then he will go ahead and play the King and choose the KO the Rouge, which I think is a little interesting. The Ivankovs are definitely threats, but the Rouge can swing a lot bigger, so I understand why he got rid of it. It's a little bit more menacing of a threat, especially if I'm restanding it. And Kaido's not a deck with a whole lot of counters, so we'll go ahead and play Women's Tears for 1, buff 1 of the Ivankovs, and play out a Duval for 2, looking at top 3 once again. So looks like we see another Ivankov on the top. So somehow we drew into all 4 of our Ivankovs this game, which, as I stated before, is our best card by far. That and Sanji if we can find it, but don't think we have seen any Sanjis yet this game. So we'll play 3 for another Ivankov, knowing we're going to play that Law that we saw on the top. Another Law, which is really great. So going to swing 5 at lead with that Ivankov that we buffed. We'll draw into another Ivankov. He'll give us a 2k counter. And I think you can see what we're going to do from here. We have that Law on board, and we drew into another Ivankov in our hand. So we're going to go ahead and swing 6 at leader, bounce our most likely Duval back to hand, and restand that Ivankov that we just attacked with. He'll give us another 2k counter. And then we'll go ahead and swing 5 once again. He does not draw twice. It's only once per turn. So we'll use 1 for Law Effect. Playing out another Ivankov and playing out an Alvida from the top. So that was a pretty ridiculous turn. We now have a board full of 4 Ivankovs. Definitely like the nuts, if you could ever call something the nuts right now. That is the best thing you can see. So he's going to go ahead and play a Sheep's Horn. Interesting tech card here, resting one of my Ivankovs. Probably going to try to KO both with this board, but we still do have 2 more. And we were not afraid to give him a lot of counter out of hand, as we have 3 Ivankovs on board, which are going to draw us 3 cards if he does not remove one of them. So he'll go 2 here, go another 8 at that Ivankov. We'll give him double 2 and a 1. So going to play 2 for a Black Maria here. Going to make it a little bit harder for me to clear board and go for game. But with the Alvida on board, we actually have a way to get rid of that Black Maria. So we're going to swing a 5 with Ivankov, draw 1. He will actually choose to take that. We'll swing another 5 with the Alvida, using her effect, actually, to bounce the Black Maria to hand. And we will choose to trash that Law we used into our trash. Now going to put another 1 onto Ivankov, swing another 5, and draw another 1. And then it's going to spend 2 for the Usopp. That is a proxy Usopp. To tell you the truth, I only have 2 of them. I ordered 2 more, but they did not get here in time. So we're playing with a couple proxies today, but that is completely fine. Swing another 5 with the Ivankov. We're drawing into the card we knew was there, which is really strong. He'll actually choose to take that. Go another 6, bouncing the 2K Alvida back to hand and restanding the Ivankov. So going really aggro here against Kaido, almost like a Zoro, which is obviously, as we know, really hard for Kaido to deal with. So he's going to counter out of both the 6 and the 5, but ending himself with only 2 cards in hand. So only thing to get rid of this board right now is a 10 cost Kaido. So he's going to go 7 to leader. I think that kind of shows us what he's going for. Yeah. There's the 10 cost Kaido, clearing my entire board, which is pretty rough. Sending himself down by 6 Dawn is definitely a bit of a setback, though. So he'll go ahead and go 5K at leader. And we'll choose to just give him a 1K Rosinante. And then now passing back to us on 10 Dawn. That Kaido on board is never getting removed, so we definitely need to start going for game soon. So going to play 2 for the Duval that we bounced back to hand earlier in the game. We're actually going to put that top 3 to the bottom. We did not like what we saw. So we're going to drop 3 for Hina, putting an attacker onto board that we can go for game next turn with, and also drawing 1. Now with an Erosion hand, we're probably going to play that out and use it for an attacker next turn. So we're going to swing 6 here, bouncing the Duval back to hand, as I kind of wanted to look at my top cards again and know what we're dealing with. Just going to put those to the top and play the Erouge. Not really ecstatic what I saw on there. And now opponent on 7 Dawn. Cannot go for game this turn. If we were at 2 life, he technically could if he had a way to clear our blocker, but he does not. He's actually going to choose to play Reiju, which is a really interesting card in this matchup, or in this deck in general. And he's going to draw 2. So honestly, a really good card for him there. He's going to go 8 lead. We will just choose to take. And then at this point, he's probably just going to swing 12. He does not have any more Dawn to work with. We will go ahead and take that as well, as we want the Duval on board, so there's enough characters on board for the Erouge to buff itself. So we'll go 2 on Erouge, and then we'll go ahead and swing 7K to leader. With 3 cards in hand, he'll have to give us 2 of those, but he's going to choose to take. We'll go another 7K lead, Duval back to hand, and restand the Erouge, and then we'll just go ahead and do rest on Erouge. He does not actually get the buff anymore, but that is still like a 10K swing, and obviously those cards cannot beat that. And getting into our final match here, we are going to be going against a Gecko Moria, which, as I stated in the deck portion of the video, is probably one of our worst matchups. We're going to be going first, and we're both not going to play anything on our first turns. We'll go 5 to lead. He'll give us an Helmepo to trash as we play a 3-cost Don Quixote del Flamingo. Unfortunately, do not see anything too amazing in the top 5 right now, and we do not have any Ivankovs in hand, so gonna be kind of difficult for us to go wide enough to not have everything be KO'd. I'll go ahead and do the typical 7 to leader effect. Perona will trash a Sugar from Perona effect and take the 7K. Amazing start for him here for sure. Now on 5 Dawn. Not sure what we're going to do here. We're just going to go ahead and go 6k at lead. A little bit of a 2k check. We'll go ahead and take that to hand. And we'll just go ahead and drop 2 Sanjis. As if he does have the Absalom, which he probably does, he can only remove 1 of them. So we're always going to have a threat on board here unless somehow he has a cost reduction into a Lucci this turn. That would suck. But yeah, he's going to go 7 lead, activate leader effect, trash out Absalom, and instantly go ahead and KO the Sanji, which we expected he would. That is why we played 2. Again, really hard matchup for sure. He'll go ahead and go another 7 lead. We'll go ahead and give him a 2 and a 1. And honestly, not in a good spot here. We're already at 2 life, low cards in hand, and not a great board. I'm going to play 2 for the Usopp. Look at the top 5 once again. Looks like we see another Sanji there, but little too late for him, honestly. Going to start swinging 7 with the Sanji, who gives us a 2 and a 1. We are going at leader, I'm pretty sure, as we do not want to deal with him replaying a Perona. So we're going to go 8 lead. Bounce the Usopp, restand the Sanji, and then swing with the Sanji again, going 9 to lead, and he's actually going to get a Shockwave trigger. The 1 of tech is in life, and our Sanji is going to be KO'd by that trigger, which if you don't know, just KOs a 4 cost on trigger, rested, or active. So if he did not have a card to KO our Sanji next turn, that was definitely the nail in the coffin. Definitely a quick into this game. We're both at 2 life already, so he's going to go ahead and play the Hina. And with his remaining 4 Dawn, he's going to go ahead and play the Lucci. So at least we know if that trigger did not happen, the Hina plus Lucci would have KO'd my whole board next turn anyway. So we'll go ahead and go 5 at lead and another 5 at lead. We'll counter out of that and also counter out of the 6k. So now on 9 Dawn, his board is massive, and we really just do not have the cards to win this game. I think only at this point like a Rush Usopp might save me, but that's really about it. So going to look at the top 5 and put it back. Definitely do not love that. We'll go ahead and play the 3 cost Hina. Just trying to somehow get bodies on board to survive and win this game. We go ahead and go 6k at lead, bouncing the Hina to hand, as we know we're going to die next turn if we do not put the counter back into hand. So going to play another blocker with the Don Quixote Rocinante and pass back to him. But with, I think that's 3 cards in hand, I don't think there's any way we can win this. So he's going to go 7, we'll counter, he'll go another 7, and we will take. He'll go another 7, and we will block. And with his remaining Dawn at this point, he's going to go ahead and go another 7. We'll go ahead and counter out of that one because we know he still has an 8k swing incoming. And with 0 cards in hand, he could really just give us a 5k swing if he wanted to, and we'd have to block. So the only way we can win is if that card in hand is a Rush Usopp, and even then the turn would be really scuffed. And with all those cards he has in his hand, there's really no way I can win, so I'm just going to forfeit here. And that is going to be our video, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. I hope you enjoyed the matches of Zoro Sanji, because I definitely did. A lot of fun this week, so I thank you guys for voting for them. Definitely one of my most favorite leaders this set. And I will have, obviously we had the deck list at the start, but I'll go ahead and put a sim link in the description in case you guys wanted to go ahead and play that one on the sim. Again, not a great deck into black, which just so happens to be the best decks in the meta. So definitely not a meta contender by any means right now, but it's definitely a fun locals deck for sure. If you enjoy Swarm or you enjoy drawing cards, combo potential, this deck's got it all. So really fun list. Had a really fun time with this deck. And looks like our poll right now, we have red and blue VV winning for next week. So if you're going to watch our video next week, it'll be red and blue VV. I do have a really fun list cooked up. I do not think this deck is very strong right now. It gets a lot stronger in OPO7. But right now, it is just okay. There's definitely a lot of matchups that are pretty unwinnable for this deck. But that does not mean I'm not going to try my best at locals. Going to be a fun video for sure. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. I am going to head out of here. There is a link in the description as well for our giveaway that we will be doing for 5 booster boxes of OP06. So if you guys are excited for that, please do enter that giveaway. It is going to be going on for a while until we get our 5 boxes in. And one more thing as well, our next pull is going to be all 3 of the Three Brothers starter decks. I know everybody's going to be excited for those, so I want to get gameplay of those out as soon as possible. So our locals after VV will be one of those 3 decks. You guys will just have to vote for which one you want, so please look forward to that. Anyways, you guys have a great day. I'm out here. Peace.